Welcome to episode 75 of Fizzy's Wacky World of Wrestling. My name is William Fizzpatrick, and hi, folks. It's been about 4 months plus since I last did a show. My last show was in February. I explored a land of polka dots and shattered dreams. I explored the Dusty Paradox. I had to do an entire hour-long show talking about Cody Rhodes jumping ship to WWE. It was a wonderfully fun time that didn't make me go mad in the slightest. The polka dots! The polka dots are everywhere! Anyway,
How do
brief bout of madness aside, and say hello to our guest host for today's episode, MDS.
believe me? Believe me, oh good sir, we are not mad at all. We haven't got any screw loose ever since Cody Rhodes decided to make his daily excursion trip from the All Wrestling over to the chaos that must not be named right now. Yeah, we're not mad. We're not insane already. We're just relaxed. We're just very cool.
I'm calm, I'm
Can't you hear my
relaxed.
relaxing voice going?
Yeah.
We're in our Zen mode.
Yes, we are relaxed at this point. We are currently at the
Sure.
moment of we're dealing with the possible daunting task of having to cover the inevitability. If you've not looked at the title yet, you might want to, dear viewer. But anyway, I have been gone for a couple months, and the reasons being
As
is
do
that
I.
is that
As do
I
I.
as a way, I had been gone. I've gone for a couple months. I had to deal with two colds, some auto repair related stuffs, the coldest temperatures. It was 20 below zero in March, so I had to focus on keeping the house warm. In April, I had to do automotive repairs because obviously, when temperatures are that cold, it means that we're going to have to fix some things. I have gone through batteries like no tomorrow, and and then in April, May, I also had to deal with two minor colds. So originally, I was planning on coming back in March to do a show on St. Patrick's Day, but that obviously fell through. It is now middle of June, and obviously, some kind of earth shattering, world changing, status quo breaking, anime timescale shifting event must have possibly happened in the world of professional wrestling for me to rise from my grave and go, Pro wrestling? I have been asleep for 4 months. 4 months! And you couldn't keep yourselves from doing any kind of chaos, now could you?
You've been
And
asleep for far too long. Well,
yes, I've been asleep for far too long. And originally, folks, we were going to cover the madness that have been going on in a certain promotion. That would be New Japan Pro Wrestling. But unfortunately, somebody had to outdo Rosie Natagawa in the terms of creepiness department. And unfortunately, that person is also the group of individuals that I talked about on the last show. That would be WWE. You can't help yourselves, can you? You always have to be number one at everything, don't you? Even when it comes to legal scandals. But yeah, I'm doing
I mean,
fine. And Senju, how are you been? How have you been doing?
let's see. I've been asleep for far too long as well. I guess if you, what I said about you being asleep for far too long goes double with me. I have been, what was it again? I have been hibernating, I guess, if you want to put that into lighter terms again. Ooh, and you are correct. Whenever we fell asleep, there must be some earth-shattering or earth-shaking events that would stir us into a little bit of a, okay, this needs to be talked about. They just can't keep us asleep for far too long now, can we?
No.
God damn, but
And yes, obviously, you might have heard the news, something called the news. For those of you who are not familiar with the world of professional wrestling, you might have read in the latest edition of the Wall Street Journal that a leaked source said that WWE's board of directors, all of 8 independent ones, mind you, were doing an internal investigation wondering why there was a $3 million shush fund of corporate money being given to an employee that Vince McMahon may have had sexual relations with. You had to not get one up by the luchadors again, didn't you, Vince?
Or worse. Or worse, he doesn't want to get one up by the sumo business as well. So
Oh,
there's
yes,
that
the
too.
sumo wrestlers are currently crying at this point because it's over the last 2 months. Yes, 2 months. Those fake pro wrestlers have managed to outdo sumo wrestling. And for those of you who are regular viewers of Fizzy's Wacky World of Wrestling, and you know anything about sumo wrestling, you will understand why that is such a phenomenally big deal. Pro wrestling is not supposed to out controversy sumo wrestling, a sport that has had
Mm.
allegations of match fixing, allegations of sumo wrestlers getting into fights at karaoke bars, allegations
Mhm.
of wrestlers going to hostess bars. They actually have a no
Mhm.
sumos policy at hostess bars. Do you know that?
No sumo.
no
No
sumo,
sumo.
no sumo wrestlers.
No sumo. Yes, is that it actually is a thing.
yes.
No sumo wrestlers in hostess bars, please.
Mm-hmm. They will tolerate Godzilla, but sumo wrestlers, no.
No, definitely not. That's why you rarely see them. That's why if you visit Japan and you go to a hostess bar in Ginza, you very, very rarely see any, what was it again, popular
mm-hmm.
people there in the setting, especially for sumo wrestlers in a way. It's just too much of a
There are
nuisance in
giant
a way.
signs in Japanese on the front door that specifically ban certain individuals from coming in the store and coming into the bar and hostess club. And sumo wrestlers, they
Correct.
list the stables and they will be on that list.
If you are in a stable, you even if you do not do anything wrong, there you are.
mm-hmm.
You are banned by association.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot go into this hostess bar. Why? Because you are under this table. You have not done anything wrong, however, but still you can't go in because that stable itself has someone who's very problematic and has done quite a lot of crazy things in their hostess bar. So much so that their stable got banned.
Hello, Asanayama.
So there you
Your suspension is coming to an end soon, by the way.
go. Chairman Hakaku is crying in his bed. Why?
yes.
Why, Vince? Has he?
Foolish
Why has
McMahon,
he?
you have once again sullied the name of the Japan Sumo Association by outdoing us in scandal. This will not stand. Ichinojo, I summon thee. Yes, master. Eat,
Do something.
Titan Tower.
Do something. Do something bad.
um, so while
But
Ichinojo goes on
anyway.
his Godzilla-themed journey across the Pacific Ocean and through the United States of America to eat Titan Towers, don't worry, they're moving
Mhm,
out of that building soon. Another one of my running gags has
mhm,
been always the idea of they decided to move the minute that they decided to move corporate headquarters. Apparently, they forgot about all the ancient curses underneath it.
mhm,
I like what? I mean, here's the thing. Am I surprised at all that Vince McMahon is in some kind of sex-related scandal? Your answer
Not
would
at
be
all, to be
no.
fair.
Correct. Senju, are
To
you
be honest.
surprised that Vince is involved in any related scandal like this?
No, not at all.
I,
I'm not even surprised.
I mean, that's the thing. It's just been such a fascinating last 72 hours to witness this happening, whereas everybody in the wrestling media is in shock, everybody in wrestling is in shock, the fans are
Mhm,
surprised, the personalities are
mhm,
surprised, and everybody is reacting like, oh, some are reacting like that scene in The Wizard of Oz where ding dong, the witch is dead. I mean, I would like you to imagine Vincent Kennedy McMahon crushed under a Kansas farmhouse. The only thing remaining are his shoes.
Mm-hmm. Vince
That's
McMahon.
how some
You
people.
replace that shoe with a pair. You
Mhm,
just replace that shoe with a pair of very, very shiny shoes off from Vince McMahon. If that's what you get.
mhm.
But
Titanium
I
golden
digress.
shoes that has been enchanced by the souls of the interns that he's devoured alive.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now, if you're used to people galvanizing Dear Vince, do you remember one of the nicknames that I have for Vince on this show? Other people have to tiptoe around Vince. I call him Satan on a regular basis. I'm sure everybody in the wrestling media right now is going, because you have the ones who are affiliated with WWE, and then you have the ones who are not affiliated with WWE but have sponsorship agreements with companies, and then you have the third parties who are not affiliated with anybody, but at the same time they're like, how am I going to cover this? Like, it's a big, massive scandal. That much
Correct.
is shall not be listed as an understatement, folks. It's a massive scandal.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Vince had a sexual affair with an employee, and he basically gave her hush money to not talk about this. And it might not be the only
Mm-hmm.
one. In addition, John
Mm-hmm.
Laurinaitis is also involved in this somehow. Laurinaitis is also involved. I mean, Senju, of
Mm-hmm.
all of the people who have been involved with WWE for
Mm-hmm.
20 plus years, if not longer, Laurinaitis is the one
Mm-hmm.
person we would not be thinking of as him getting into a scandal with Vince.
Oh, there is a designation for that. He is, as you say, he is Vince McMahon's fall guy. That's
Yes, he's the fall guy,
that's the
but
eventual.
but here's the thing. I looked at this and I went, Laurinaitis? Johnny Laurinaitis? Laryngitis? Him?
Johnny Ace.
Johnny
Johnny
Ace?
Ace.
The guy
Yep.
who was most known for being involved with WCW and also being the errand boy for the Dragon Lady in All Japan? Okay, I would have expected, if there was any place I would have expected scandal to happen, it would be because of Johnny Ace's connection with All Japan,
That's correct.
not WWE or stuff in WCW, but not here. Especially after he just came back into the talent relations role after Shao Nick Khan, by the way, decided to remove his little hunter problem.
Yep.
By going full Lily Bank on the guy. I mean, Hunter's still there.
Hmm. But
He's recovered enough from his heart ailment to go back to at least the partials out of his duties. He wears glasses now, um, but he's not obviously in any kind of position to do a power grab at this point. But like people were looking at this, going, "Wait, the Wall Street Journal leaked this?" That's what I think surprised a lot of people. Was the expectation was is that a lot of people in the wrestling journalism industry know about Vince's dirty laundry. You could literally fill a
hmm
barge
what was
in the New York City harbor with that laundry, and the barge would sink. They'd have to use several.
and if you think that this I'm sorry. If you think that this scandal is earth-shattering in itself, oh no. This isn't as bad as his what was it against steroid allegations a couple of years back, several years back.
Yeah,
Those kind of things. The steroid scandal.
the steroid scandal from the
His
90s, the Rita Charlton sexual assault case from 86,
mhm,
the
mhm,
Ring Boys sexual assault scandal from the early 90s, another person who was a
uh,
referee getting hostily sexually assaulted. Mm,
Uh-huh.
yeah, I mean, everything from having a sex offender referee to drug scandals to every single other kind of skeevy thing. You have the Owen Hart death. You have all sorts of stuff.
Mhm.
If you were rating a promotion based on scandals, WWE and the old WCW would be neck and neck in terms of the Monday Night War for who can get on the tabloid papers front page this week.
Mhm. Mhm.
So the idea
And
that
if
WWE is like this saintly company, get that visual out of your head.
and again, if you think and also if you think that this point is also the exact point to defend this is the exact point to defend any other company. Oh no. Let's not forget any other company is just as shady as WWE is.
Okay, ADW just had a performer get busted for a DWI charge that had gotten busted for a DWI charge while he was in WWE last year. That would be Jeff Hardy.
Mhm.
Um, you have the
Why
incident.
am I not surprised?
Yeah, you have the incident with MJF. You have the incident with a number of wrestlers from AEW possibly having allegations against them coming from speaking out. Same with WWE. Um, so the thing is that because wrestling is a fringe business, you're going to get people into the industry that nobody else wants, both good and bad, because we live in the real world, and the real world is not black and white.
And people seem to
It's in every single
people seem
kaleidoscope of color imaginable.
yeah, and people seem to forget what was it again? Because at the end of the day, pro wrestling is a carny business.
Yeah.
People, a lot of people has forgot about that. Pro wrestling is a carny business, folks. This is
Hmm.
this is a fact that a lot of people have forgot because whatever issues, whatever allegations, whatever scandals that popped up in the pro wrestling business, eventually that will be swept under the rug, and then you move on with the business, or even worse, you use that for ratings.
Hmm.
Use that to bump up your ratings, and that's exactly what Vince McMahon did.
Yeah.
Come up to SmackDown.
Yes. So yeah, he did that. We'll get to that in a little bit here, but the scenario
Yeah.
was at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The Wall Street. There we go. Reconnection
Okay.
connection. There we go. Reconnection
Okay.
connection. There we go. So,
Okay.
just had a minor, folks. We just had a minor crash of OBS Studio, but we are back on the air. So, anyway,
Okay.
we have a situation where Vince gets investigated by the board about allegations about a $3 million shush fund. And they are continuing to do this investigation. Everybody freaks out. Everybody. Okay, people who are allies with Vince and people who hate Vince. You know, who have voodoo dolls of Vince in their lockers, okay? That's the thing that about this is that people who have voodoo dolls of Vince in their lockers are wondering aloud to themselves, okay, is this the day that that old man finally falls? And I'm seeing all sorts of different reactions on social media because wrestling Twitter is by far the most interesting place to get a petri dish sample of different opinions about the whole story. Some people are openly trolling others, others are reacting of good riddance, hope he burns to the ground. Um
Uh,
and I would like to advise, and the reality here is this. If wrestling Twitter was invented when Vince started promoting in 1984, um, he would be by far the king. He is behaving like a wrestling Twitter person right now. He is
mhm.
chipper, he is happy, and he is going to burn all of you down. He's going to take all of you with him. And that is
Mm-hmm.
Vince's game plan right now. So, on Friday, Vince temporarily resigned from the head of the board. Stephanie McMahon, who, mind you, got buried under a load of concrete not 2 months ago, is now the acting CFO CEO of the company.
Technically speaking, she is the interim.
Yeah,
She
she's
will
the
sit in the CEO and chairman's chair
yeah she
until
until the
and the board of
investigation
directors.
until the investigation is over and until the board has made their judgment.
Mm, correct.
Yes, so she is the interim CEO of the company while this is
Mm-hmm.
going on.
Yep.
That's
You are
a
correct.
yes, that's a weird 2 months turnaround. I mean, she takes a leave of absence from WWE, and then all of a sudden, like a month later, she's back.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I mean, this was the
I
fantasy that
mean, oh,
this is the fantasy that a lot of people had about this, but I'm not sure this was the way that people thought this was gonna go. I mean, they wanted Stephanie to
yeah.
succeed, but they didn't want it to be like this. They wanted Vince to give up, retire, you know, submit to our will. Vince is a lion, you fools, and you're his dinner.
Mhm.
Your thoughts, Senju?
I mean, oh, you are correct. I haven't even popped into Twitter to see Twitterverse to see Vince McMahon and people commenting about it. And yes, you are correct. A lot of people are blowing this way out of proportion because a lot of people are thinking, yes, this is going to be the time when Vincent Kennedy McMahon is stepping down. And yeah, you took the words right out of the mouth. He's still in charge. He might have voluntarily stepped down, but still, Vince isn't still in direct control over creative. Nothing much is going to change. But and a lot of people are saying, "Oh, he should be stripped out immediately." Vince should not be able to be near WWE in any sense of the word. Put him like 500 meters away, or put him 1 kilometer away from WWE as far as possible. His grubby hands shall not be touching WWE and Titan Towers and whatever it is now that they're doing. But no, you have to give this time to see how this plays out. They are actually doing their own independent inquiries, as any typical business entrepreneur will do. They will do their own investigation alongside the official police investigation or whatever legal inquiries and investigations that they can find out until the board of directors will come up to a conclusion whether whether Vince is guilty or innocent. It's up to them. And ye a lot of people are just jumping the gun. Yes, think about it. If John Laurinaitis and Vincent Kennedy McMahon is going to be gone, it will pave the way for this and that, or so and so, or even Stephanie McMahon to just be the permanent one, and Triple H coming back to work. Yeah, not bad.
Here's the important thing, though. I am of the opinion
Mm,
Vince is gone. He's doomed. This is a really, really bad situation for him. At this moment, having contract deals are very upset that Vince is losing the much questionably run creative product. Now, granted, they're going to still keep him in creative until they fire him out of a cannon into the sun, but consider who leaked the story. The Wall Street Journal. The Wall
mhm,
Street
mhm,
Journal, for those uninitiated, is owned by News Corp. News Corp is Fox. Fox willingly let a story leak from one of their papers that casts a negative light on Vince. And you had to know that despite the fact that News Corp and NBC Universal Comcast are rivals, They had to be working together on this because the last time that Vince had any kind of TV issues was when he got into a feud with NBC Universal back in the early 90s, which
Mhm,
lost him Saturday Night Main Event.
mhm.
The Ebersouls are grinning right now. Charlie Ebersol is going to be wearing Vince's skull like a belt. If there is one group of people that Vince has had, if there is a kryptonite for Vince, it's television executives. They don't respect him at all. They know his game, they know what he's doing, and they're smiling happily. Right now, what you're getting is a bunch of people from the board of directors who have been previously TV executives. The guy with the biggest independent majority stake on the board of directors is the guy that used to run Sony India. Who, if we recall, by the way, Sony India, they made a deal with Impact back in the mid 2010s for broadcasting. The Sony 6 deal.
Mhm.
So this guy is not unfamiliar with pro wrestling or how it works. So Vince
Mm,
can do all the cardy antics he can muster. Like, he shows up on SmackDown, opens the show, basically does a canned nothing promo, waves to the crowd,
mhm.
and basically gives the double bird to his board of directors and basically says, "You're not getting rid of me. I'm invincible. I'm Vincent Kennedy McMahon, god damn it."
I mean, you're correct. That's because, again, there are a lot of people speculating why he actually showed up on SmackDown, basically. What his ultimate goal of
To
his,
give
I
everybody the
guess, his
double
appearance
bird and
was.
basically say, "If I'm going down, you're all going with me."
Mhm. To put it on polite terms, he's just basically just saying, I'm gonna thumb my nose at the investigation into my conduct by the WWE Board of Directors, Vincent Kennedy said. Maybe he's saying goodbye. That's his way of saying bye bye. Welcome to SmackDown.
If you thought he
I've
was going to
seen
go
talk.
out quietly, then boy, have you been living in a dream world. I mean, I apologize for those who have been living in that dream world, but really, seriously, this is my serious voice coming into play here. Um, if you seriously thought that Vince was gonna be like, some measly, meek old fool and was going to retire and give up his post and not have it be some massive sumo skies legal scandal, you are fooling yourself, you sociopathic halfwits. you know,
Ooh. Mm.
it's like, what were they thinking? Like, they expecting him to give up? Are they either blind, deaf, or Rybakin levels of stupid?
I
Seriously.
have no idea. A lot of the people are saying, "Oh, this is finally the moment. This is the time that I've been waiting for years, for years." What are you doing in the past couple of years?
What have you been doing? I mean, like, what? Here's the thing. I hear all the time, like, "Oh, pro wrestling will never change. Pro wrestling is this. Pro wrestling is that." I'm like, knucklehead, you have massive connections. You are in the business. You know people in the business, and yet you continue to do nothing. What is wrong with you?
Correct.
Every single
And
time
listen,
that I hear the indies say, "Oh, we're different from the rest of professional wrestling." How? You're even worse than Vince sometimes.
and listen. This is clinic talk now. Swate kudasai. Swate sit down. If you're saying if an independent wrestling promotion is saying that we're better than that big company who must not be named, we are better. Oh, trust me, you're in just the same as him, if not worse. Because
If you're trying to do the moral
let's
now, as far as the actual in ring product, you might be better. But in terms of the whole moral high ground, unless you are utterly committed to it, you're on equal footing with both WWE and AEW as far as questionable wrestlers who may or may not have access to a parole officer.
And it all boiled down to one thing. This is a carny business first and foremost.
Yes, it is certainly
No
a
matter
carny
how much,
business.
what was it again? No matter how much change or how much improvements that you a company, not
Mm-hmm.
you, a wrestling company would say that they're doing. Oh, we're giving more creative control. Oh, we're giving women a chance.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, buddy, you're still a carny business. Behind the sheets, there is something that you are doing that you are not telling the world about until all the beans has been spilled.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, this is a human-run business, and anything that's been run by humans isn't necessarily 100% perfect.
Mm-hmm.
It's an impossibility to get a business company, to be 100% socially aware and socially responsible, because that's an
Mm-hmm.
impossibility. And you're living on cuckoo land if you're thinking that, oh yeah, this company is doing that. There is some shit that's happening there that you do not know, and once you do know, you would be just as surprised as the rest of the people behind the scenes who are going, I've told you for years that this is happening.
Yeah, but also at the same time, we're at a point where it is possible to start making fundamental changes because the worst people in wrestling are the ones that will say pro wrestling can never change. Okay? If you have that loser mentality of giving up and saying, "Oh, I'm not going to change things to protect." Okay, you have so many people in this business, regardless of race, gender, or sexual orientation, who are so vulnerable. Whether they've been in this business for 6 months or 20 years plus, they're vulnerable. There are a lot of ways to improve things that don't really require a lot of effort. Although I'll say this, if people say it's easy, then they're not doing it hard enough. They're not putting enough effort into it. If you say something is easy, then all you're going to do is basically say, is ring the dinner bell and have every predator circle the wagons. Okay? That kind of arrogance is going to get you harmed severely by the predators in the business. And I don't just mean the sexual offenders, but also the violent offenders and the psychos who will literally ruin you because they're feeling sociopathic that day. You know, they're having a Joker moment.
Hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, you can say that. You can say that. You can say that.
hmm
You can say that. I mean, for most of us, we see this as for some of us in the section of the internet community, we see this as, well, this is not much of a surprise because we
hmm
already know the long, dirty laundry list of what Vince Kennedy McMahon had done,
Oh yeah, certainly. I
and
mean,
yeah, and it ain't pretty, and it ain't pretty.
no.
But to say that this is the moment that Vince McMahon is going to go, this is his ticket out. This is his ticket out, and to usher in a new change and whatnot. Just sit down, calm down, give it a couple of days.
This is a massive status quo change for you. This is a massive
Yeah.
status quo change for you, regardless of if you like Vince or want him to burn. Okay? Because Vince has been your natural antagonist for however long you've been in wrestling. He's been the one you've been channeling all your hatred and all your despising and all of your rage has been on Vince or
Because you need.
WWE, you know, has been on Vince or WWE by proxy. And that person might be going away soon. He might be going away as quickly as next week. But here comes the big, big catch 22. I've said this before on both Shooting the Breeze and on Wacky World. The evil that you don't know is worse than the evil that you do know. The evil that you do know is predictable. Vincent Kennedy McMahon is one of the worst liars I've ever seen. His facial expressions give so many tells that you'd have to be hooked up on every single kind of South American GDP stimulus to not notice.
Uh,
Um, he has got horrific tells. His body language is incredibly controlled, so he can't really lie to the degree that he has to lie to people. And the people who fall for it are either the desperate, the ones who have been whipped and broken by this business. I mean, look at Jim Ross. He's been literally he's been literally tied to a rampaging herd of cattle and has been dragged around the business for 50 plus years. He's never stood up for himself. A time that Jim Ross ever stands up for himself is the day that the moon explodes. And this is coming from me reading his autobiography, Slobberknocker. One of the things I've been actually doing is I've been doing a lot of research into sports owners and media people to get a better understanding of where they come from, to understand their minds. Because a lot of people in wrestling, when they get into a public social media feud, they take a Gallagher sized sledgehammer and attempt to squash their opponent's head like a watermelon. What I do is different. I often just sit back, read a book, and go, "Oh, that's fascinating. You two are going at each other's throats again. Oh, that's nice. That's a big waste of your time, but I'm not going to stop you from doing it because why would you listen to me?
true.
I mean, I've been told by friends in wrestling that I give great advice. But you're obviously not going to come to me because you think I'm some crazy person who thinks that this is utterly silly and stupid." Again, I come from a background where you focus on the task at hand, you complete it to the best of your abilities, and you move on to the next task. It's very stringent,
Yep.
it's very regimented. That's part of the reason why me and Senju get along. It's a very Shinto philosophy.
Correct. Just do our jobs and move on to the next one. There's no such thing as complaining, whining, muttering. Just do as you are told.
Mm-hmm.
Some people would say that this is bad, but it's a regimented structure.
Mm-hmm.
It gives, what was it again? It gives purpose, structure, and a goal to achieve.
If you have
Those
no
are
skin in the
things.
game and you see something is wrong, then you can complain about it. I have no problem with that. But
Yeah.
if you're in a situation where you have to focus on helping your family get through day to day life, okay, then it is unnecessary for you to get into 50,000 fist fights on social media when you have something to do that's important. Um, and like I've spent time gardening, fixing the car, doing housework. I do that for the most part, you know. And for me, I just sat back and I went, well, this is a prime opportunity for me to come back in here and talk about pro wrestling, isn't it? I mean, it was completely unplanned for me to come back into this and talk about Vince being Vince. Could I be surprised about Satan doing this again? No. I'm like, the dude literally injected poison into his corporate structure by bringing a sports agent into the company. He brought Nick Khan in. Nick
Mhm.
Khan is a sports agent. You want to know who is the if television producers are Vince's kryptonite, guess who's the kryptonite to the sports entertainer who performs the premium live events that WWE and Peacock keep going on about? Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, you guessed it, Senju. Sports
mm,
agents. They're the
yep.
sports entertainer's kryptonite. And Nick Khan
Yeah.
has done an absolutely phenomenal job in less than 2 years of somebody posted a Mortal Kombat meme of him going up the tower ladder, and it has pictures of Hunter, Stephanie, and Vince on the other side as he goes for the
Mhm.
campaign ladder. Nick has done that.
Uh-huh. Yep.
He has the
And yeah,
personality.
and I also
Go right ahead.
go ahead. You go ahead first.
Okay.
I'll finish my point.
He has the
Uh,
personality and the structure and the intelligence. A lot of people say, "Oh, I'll take down WWE. Me and my social agenda will take down WWE, regardless of whatever political affiliation you have, whether you be left or right." Oh, Vince will destroy you. It's funny to me whenever I
doesn't
see
care
people
about
talk.
illegal.
Whenever I see people talk about the campaign stuff from the political side of things, I go,
Mhm.
neither party likes him. None of the fringe parties like him. They tolerate him because A, he has money. Admittedly, not a lot of money. He's a guy that was openly joked of being a billionaire that is a millionaire
A millionaire.
until he finally made $1 billion. It took him a while, and not until Nick Khan actually finally did something about the corporate structure of the company that he finally made $1 billion in net worth. um, but that's the thing. That's net worth. Doesn't really mean a lot in the long term of things. It just puts you in a rank and file number slot on some rich person's magazine. Okay. Neither party likes him. Even the ones who associate with him do not like him. If you were to ask them privately off the record, they'd say, I really don't like him. He antagonizes me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was it again? A lot of people on the right doesn't like him because what was it again? He's not
he's
as
so
conservative as
insane.
he is.
He's so insane that they cannot control him.
Yeah, he's pretty crazy. That's pretty much it.
Yes.
Both of the sides can't control him.
No.
If we're going on a what was it again? On a casual point, he's too insane for any of the sides to. We're
Mhm.
not gonna delve into what specifics of it, but
Mhm.
he's too basically what he does. Neither the left nor the right would touch him with a 10-inch with a 10-foot pole.
Okay, and the only person who's been business with him is the Turnip, and the Turnip lost money on his WrestleMania events.
Yeah.
Yeah, seriously, okay? That's the only person on the right that's willing to deal with him in some extensive capacity. And the left hates him by principle, which is fine. I mean, the thing is that Vince is the kind of person, and we forget about this. During the rise of the Tea Party movement in the 2010s, he has Jack Swagger
Mhm.
doing a We the People far right gimmick with Zeb Coulter. He was making
Yep.
fun. He's been making fun of both Democrats and Republicans for decades. And the mere idea that
Yep.
Vince is for any one particular party is foolhardy. It's whichever one gives him the best tax exemption on that new office space that he's building in Connecticut.
Yep. Is well, that's basics, isn't it?
Yeah.
You support the person who will give you the most leeway, be it the left or the right. So there's that.
Whichever one
But
you can find by far the most amount of dirt on, and knowing Vince, him being able to find dirt on his enemies is probably pretty effective.
Yep.
Because that's the thing we need to understand about people who are skullduggery types is that they have a lot of connections. They
Yep.
understand how to deal, and if they need to figure out a way to find dirt on you, they will. Okay,
Oh,
problematic
is
wrestlers
it?
are not
Because
stupid.
how is it? Yep. They're not. To
Hmm.
be fair,
Hmm.
they know what they're doing.
Yeah. Okay.
Especially Vince, in a way.
Yeah.
He's the top of the food chain right there. He knows. Like
Hmm.
you said, he has connections,
Hmm.
and he uses basically it runs down like this because when you say that Vince McMahon has connections, every single shady skullduggery types have connections.
Yeah.
They use those connections to collect information about other people.
Hmm.
Whether the information is good or bad, that's beyond the point.
Hmm.
When those information turns out to be dirty laundry, they'll
Hmm.
keep it and use it to their to their advantage against the other person.
Hmm.
And basically, the other person who got that leverage basically
Hmm.
will go on and become one of the main persons who also collect information for the other guy, and that other guy will report to the main guy.
Hmm.
Basically, it's what was it again? It's what us it's what some of us in Japan would term as a black book kind of deal.
Yeah.